America was born in a fight for freedom. Throughout its history, America has gone to bat for free peoples. I don't think this is going to be another forever war in any case, but I think if the United States leaves without putting the Iranian people on a footing to be able to overthrow this regime, we will have missed a historic opportunity to defeat a genocidal evil.
I am Larry Elder. We are Salem News Channel, and we're about an hour away or so, less than an hour away from President Trump giving a primetime address about the state of the war in Iran. We're carrying it live right here on Salem News Channel. By popular demand, we're bringing back one of my guests, international best-selling author of several books, born in Tehran, Iran, to Christian parents. When he was a teenager, his family immigrated to Canada for their safety. He is a magna cum laude graduate of Georgetown University, obviously couldn't get into Brown. Please welcome back Nicky Billou.
Good to be here, Larry. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm great, Nicky. What do you think the president's going to say tonight?
Well, Larry, Donald Trump is nothing if not completely unpredictable. But I'll tell you what I think he ought to say tonight. How about we start there and let's see how right I am. I think the first thing he's got to do is say that the primary mission parameters that he laid out for going in and beginning Operation Epic Fury have been met, because they have. Iran's nuclear capability has been severely degraded. Its ability to threaten its neighbors right now is non-existent. Its Air Force and its Navy that was controlled by the IRGC is no longer a threat. And it's coming close to the point where the regime is ready to be toppled. I think those are the things that he needs to lay out to the American people. I think he also ought to lay out to the American people that besides the importance of the United States from a geopolitical point of view to make sure that this evil Nazi-like regime never had the ability to use nuclear weapons to threaten America, to threaten Israel, to threaten the world, that America is a country really that's all about freedom. America was born in a battle, in a fight for freedom. And throughout its history, America has gone to bat for free peoples. I mean, look at World War I. America came out on the side of the Allies and helped defeat the Axis, which basically were the aggressive powers in that war. And it helped bring freedom, and the vision was to bring democracy to the world. Now, that didn't end up being a perfect thing that happened everywhere, but that was the vision that Woodrow Wilson spelled out at the end of World War I. World War II, America said that we're coming here to defeat the forces of evil, defeat the forces of Nazism and militarism. And the objective there really was unconditional surrender to make sure that the aggressive powers that were in charge in those countries were no longer going to be in charge. Those are the sorts of things that America has done. Regime change in these cases has been a positive good for the world. And I think President Trump ought to make the case that today's Islamic Republic is a similar type of aggressive power with aggressive designs on making sure that they turn the world into an Islamic caliphate. They destroy America, they destroy Western civilization, and they oppress their own people. And America stands with people that are out there fighting for their freedom. And one of the things that America wants to make sure is that this evil genocidal regime can no longer threaten the world, which means it's got to go. And I think the president ought to make that case, even if he's talking to Pezeshkian, who is the so-called president of Iran, and he's saying this guy is not as crazy or radical as the other people. If he's part of the Islamic regime, and he is, he can't be negotiated with. You can't negotiate with evil. And I think that's the case he ought to make. Whether he will make it or not, I don't know. There seem to be people inside the administration right now that want to quickly wind down this war. They want to declare victory and go home. There's people in the America First movement that don't like it. They want to show that this isn't going to be another forever war. I don't think this is going to be another forever war in any case, but I think if the United States leaves without putting the Iranian people on a footing to be able to overthrow this regime, we will have missed a historic opportunity to defeat a genocidal evil, a tyrannical evil, and instead have the people of Iran be able to choose their own destiny and bring freedom to the Middle East. And this, from a geopolitical point of view, Larry, you and I have talked about this a number of times, is only going to be good for America and the world. An Iran that's pro-Western, an Iran that's pro-America, is an Iran that will not be funding terrorist proxies, is an Iran that won't be causing chaos all over the world. It's an Iran that will be a partner in keeping the Middle East a stable place. And when that happens, my friend, I believe the Abraham Accords will be extended to Saudi Arabia and other countries in the Middle East. You're going to be able to sideline the so-called Palestinian Hamas types because they're not going to have the funding or the backing to be able to do anything that's going to cause instability in the region. And you're going to see a flowering of peace and prosperity, the likes of which the Middle East hasn't seen in centuries.
Nicky, this war, aside from the MAGA base, is deeply unpopular here in America, according to most polls I've seen. One of the reasons is that when Donald Trump took out those 3 nuclear sites, he said that he set back the Iranian nuclear program, I think he said for generations, sometimes he said for decades. Then within a few months, we went back. People don't trust what Donald Trump is saying about the progress of the war. If you are Donald Trump, how do you get over that?
I think you get over that by speaking to people's hearts. I don't think you get over that by reciting a bunch of statistics that we've blown up this many nuclear reactors, that we've knocked out this many ICBM missiles or missile capabilities or drones. I think you speak to people's hearts, and the way you speak to their hearts is you speak about America, who America is, what America's always stood for, and how America's always been a country that stood up for those that stand up for freedom. I think that's going to speak to the heart of Americans. And I also think he's got to make the case that America is going to be out of this war within a very short period of time. He's got to make that point. He's got to make it now. He's got to make it powerfully. Because if this looks like it's going to be something that's going to drag on, and if that's what people believe, his support's going to plummet, and the Republican Party is going to get slaughtered in the midterms. But if the United States is able to get out of the Middle East and end this war and wind it down, and I believe it's going to be able to do that in the month of April, then I think Donald Trump is in a position to be seen as a great liberator, the way Ronald Reagan was, and to a lesser extent, the way that George Bush the Elder was when the Berlin Wall fell. This is potentially a Berlin Wall moment, and Donald Trump needs to make that case. He needs to show pictures of these young Iranians who've been murdered by the regime. He needs to show pictures of what the mullahs have said they're going to do to America and Israel. He's got to make his case. He's got to touch people's hearts. He's got to arouse the American people to a bit of righteous anger. And if he does that, they're going to be on his side. But if he tries to tell the story of bits and bytes and numbers and statistics, it's game over. The American people are a people that have always stood up for freedom. Freedom for America, but also freedom for other people. That's one of the reasons that America stood so strong in World War II. That's one of the reasons America stood the course during the Cold War. And you've got to make the case. You got to make it powerfully. And I think it's important that he's speaking to the people and that he's having a primetime address and he's not letting the media filter what he's saying. That's the only way he's going to reach the American people. Ronald Reagan was brilliant at that. That's one of the reasons that they called him the great communicator. That's one of the reasons that he left office with the highest approval rating of any president in American history. Donald Trump has a chance to do that. I hope he takes it.
Nicky, we have less than 2 minutes left. What is the president going to say about the Strait of Hormuz and the price of oil?
I think what he's going to say is that the Iranians want a ceasefire and they're willing to do something around the Strait of Hormuz to do that. I think he's also going to call upon European countries, the so-called allies in NATO, to say, you guys have not done your part to keep this strait open. And frankly, it matters more to you than it does to us because we get only 1% of our oil from the Middle East. And he's going to tell the world that the Strait of Hormuz is something that is important, that is strategic, and in their interest to fight for it. And I think he's going to make that case strongly and powerfully.
If he says, Nicky, we have a little less than a minute, we're going to leave shortly, how does that square with his assertion, his demand for, quote, unconditional surrender?
Look, the Iranian regime right now, the mullahs, have been decimated. There's not a lot of them left. And frankly, all he's got to do is make sure that enough of their command and control infrastructure, especially of the IRGC, has been destroyed, that when America stops bombing, the Iranian people can act as boots on the ground and overthrow these bastards. I think we're close to that. I think we're really, really close to that, Larry. And I can talk after the break about videos I'm seeing of Iranians that have been provided with some weapons who are going out hunting for IRGC and besieged people and shooting them down.
Wow. All right, Nikki, let's talk after President Trump has given his address and find out how it tracks with what you think he should be saying and should have said. All this and more. Nikki, as always, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
God bless you, brother. Thanks for having me.
God bless you.
Take care.
This episode has been brought to you by eCircleAcademy.com, the proven system to add 6 to 7 figures a year to your thought leader practice.